Hey everyone, it's Megan from Bookish Delights. And today's video is a how well do I know my books challenge, and this was created by Jesse over on Jesse the Reader, so I'll link his channel and his video down below. So without further ado, let's get started. So usually you go on like Twitter or Instagram to get your numbers, and your numbers correspond with how many numbers of shelves you have and then how many books are on each shelf. I went over on Facebook on one of the book groups I'm in, and I got a whole list of numbers. So the first question is, without looking at the description, tell us what the book is about. And the number is 5 and 21. So the first book I have is Eleanor Park by Rainbow Rowell. And I honestly can't quite remember everything about this book. I do know that lately there has been some controversy over it. But basically it's about I read it. I didn't really enjoy it all that much. And I only have it on my shelf because it's like the special editor's edition. So it's basically about the two main characters, Eleanor and Park, and their lives, and just being, I think they were strangers at first, and it kind of just like develops their friendship, and like first they weren't really speaking to each other, but they bonded over, oh, I almost fell. They bonded over, I think it was comic books. Other comic books or like magazines or something. They bonded over that, and then both of their lives were kind of shitty, not all that great, so they became pretty good friends, and I think they ended up like dating towards the end. I can't quite remember. Without looking at the book, tell us what is on the cover. 2 and 18. So this is a Legendary by Stephanie Garber, and I'm trying not to look at the viewfinder. One of the books has a heart, but I think this one might be a spade. Or is this one with the heart? Is Finale the one with the spade? I'm gonna go with my original guess and say the spade is on this cover. I do believe it's red. Yeah, because Caraval there's blue and Caraval. This one is red. I think there may even be like a bit of gold on this one, maybe a little bit of emerald, but I think the main thing is a spade. Oh, I was right, and it was gold lettering. And there is like a little bit of emerald around the edges, but the main thing is a spade. I accidentally skipped the second one, so this one is, without looking it up, what is the genre of the book? And then my number is 3 and 17. This is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I think this one was like paranormal fantasy thriller. I'm not quite sure about thriller, but it is like a paranormal-esque book. Without looking it up, what is the main character's name? Then I have 519. This book is Vivian Apple Against the World, or something like that's the title, and her name is in the title. Her name is Vivian. Without looking, name a side character. Then I have 313. I haven't read this, so I have no idea of any characters' names at all in this. So side characters, I don't know. Jimmy. I don't know. Guess how many pages the book has without looking. If you guess 25 below or 25 above the number, you count it as a win. And then I have, let's see, 525. This shelf only had 24 books on it, so I just went straight back to the front of it and counted that as 25. And this is A Stranger in the House by Sherry Lapina, or Sherry. 314. It's probably over. 315. 5. That is a win. Without looking it up, what rating did you give the book? 6 and 15. This is one of those supernatural books. This is Fresh Meat by Alice Henderson, and it's based on a TV show. I haven't read any of these books yet. This is like number 15 or something, and this year's like 13, 14, 15, one of those. So I haven't read any of these, so I haven't rated it. So I'll go the same set of numbers, but the closest one to it that I've read, I will grab. The closest one to that supernatural book is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, and I gave this 5 stars. This is one of my favorite books that I read in college. This is actually the same book that I had in college, and I have it annotated and highlighted, and it's just a really good read. I usually read it every October now. Without looking, where does this book take place? So that is 4 and 15. So I have The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, and I can't quite remember where this takes place. Somewhere in the US, but it also takes place in the fictional realm of the Hazelwood. Maybe New York? I mean, like, they traveled around, but I'm not quite sure where it was that they actually ended up staying. Without looking, what are the parents' names in the book, if there are any? We have 1 and 23. Haven't read it, don't know if there are any parents in this. Probably is. Yeah, there's mentions of his mom on the back of this. No name. So, yeah, his parents are in here. Don't know their names. Without looking at the hardback, what color is the book under the dust jacket? And I have 4 and 13. That's, what is the name of this? Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. I don't think it's a dark color, but I don't think it's white. Maybe like an ivory or like an off-white. Oh, I was right. It's like kind of showing up a little more white on camera, but it is like a cream off-white color. Without looking, is there anything on the hardback like an imprint of an image or any embossing type like that? I have 2 and 10. This is, what is this? Code by Kathy and Brandon Riches, or Reaches is one of the new books I got. I can't remember. I remember taking the dust jacket off and looking at it, I think, in the video, but I can't remember if there's anything on it. I think there, maybe? Yes. I'm saying yes. Oh, I don't know. There isn't. Oh, I thought there was something here. Like, I was picturing something like what's on the cover here on it. Without taking the dust jacket off, what is the color of the font on the hardback? 2 and 18. Was 218 I already mentioned earlier? Yeah, okay, it was. I'll just take the book next to it. And I believe the colors on this is like a blue, like a metallic blue. Yeah. It's like a little metallic blue. Without looking, do the chapters have titles or are they just numbers? And I have 4 and 9. And this is, what is this? This Tiny Perfect World by Lauren Gibaldi. I haven't read this, so I really don't know, but I'm gonna say it's just numbers. I think that's usually what books are now, like it's just numbers, and I was right, it is just the numbers. Without looking at the book cover, does it have an award on it? And we're going with, I don't have shelf 7. Okay, well, I'm going to say 6 and 17. This person said 7 and 17. This is Deck the Halls by Mary Higgins Clark, and I can't remember Carl Higgins Clark. also done this one, or if that was another book. I don't think there's an award stamp on this one. No, there isn't. Without looking, does this book have any author blurbs on the front cover? And we are going with 4 and 11. Shelf 4 is very popular. Hardbacks, the blurbs are usually on the back, but sometimes there may be like a blurb or two on the front. This is Immaculate by Caitlin Detweiler. And I remember what the cover looks like. It's really beautiful. It was a cover bought for me, so I don't think there's a blurb on the front. No, there isn't. It's just like a very beautiful cover, and that's why I bought it. Without looking, does this book have a description on the back? And we will go with 5 and 23. This is Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. There's a double ER and it's confusing. Description on the back, usually hardcovers, the descriptions are on the front flap. I'm just going to make sure I got the question right. So I'm going to say there is no description on the back of this one. I think it's just blurbs. Well, it's not a blurb, but it's not the actual description, because the actual description is on the cover, but there is like a little, it's not like other author praise blurbs. It's a blurb of sorts. So technically I'm right. Without looking, does this book have an author photo? And we are going to go with 3 and 15. Usually it's hardbacks that has a author photo on the inside. Sometimes paperbacks do. I'm going to say yes. The author photo right there. And this is Come Back to Me by Mila Gray. I have no idea what this book is about, but I'm assuming it's a romance. Without looking up, is this author using a pen name? I can't remember what number we left off on. 6 and 6. And we have Little Men by Louisa May Alcott. I always forget her middle name. And I believe this is not a pen name, but I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure it's her actual name. Without peeking what is the POV this book is written in, first or third, and we will do 4 and 8. I haven't read this book before. This is Invisible Ghost by Robin Schneider. I own quite a few books that are first person, so I'm just going to go ahead and guess this is first person. And it is. Is there anything? Yep. Without looking, are there any pictures or graphics in this book? We will go with 6 and 24. So we have Pearl in the Mist by V.C. Andrews, and I'm pretty sure there is no graphics in this book at all. Yeah, no graphics. Without looking, does this book have an epilogue? And we will go with 2 and 6. The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, and I have no idea. I've never read this. I'm gonna say yes. Nope. No epilogue. Just 50 chapters and acknowledgments. Without looking, does this book have a prologue? And I guess preface will be like the same thing if it's preface. We will go with 2 and 22. There wasn't enough books on here, even including the ones I have stacked up here. So 22 ended up being the first book, and this is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I read this one, and I think there was some sort of prologue. I don't think it jumped right into the chapters. Come right, yes, there is a prologue. Without looking, is this book signed? And we will go with 3 and 23. This one is not signed. What is this? 3 Truths and a Lie by Brent Hardinger. stunning cover. It's a thriller, but this I can say is not signed. I only have 3 books that are signed. This one ain't one of them. Without looking, do the page numbers have design above or below them, or none at all? And we will go with 3 and 13. I think we already had that number because I landed on Scythe. So I will go to Shadow and Bone just before it. So I'm going to say there's no designs. There's designs on either side. Looking, do the chapter headers have designs on them? We will go with 4 and 13. We already done that book. So I'm just going to move on to the next one. And this is Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. And I don't know. I'm not even gonna pretend that I have any idea. I haven't read this. I'm gonna say no. Well, I mean, there's like squiggly. Well, does that count? Without looking, are the acknowledgments in the front or the back of the book? And we will go with 3 and 22. This is Wish by Jake Smith, and I believe the acknowledgments are in the back. They're in the back of the book. I don't think I have any books with them in the front. I've never seen one. Without looking, what year was this book published? And we will go with 2 and 19. This is actually a newly published book. This was published this year. I don't know the month. I think it was May or June of 2019 of this year. Oh, and this is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Out looking, what year did you read this book? And if it lands in a book that I haven't read, then I will go to the one closest to it. And we will go with, okay, we're going to go with 1 and 6. This is Unravelled Me by Tahara Mafi, and I did read this. I read it sometime this year, a couple months ago. I want to say it was April or May that I read this, but it was this year that I read it. I'm just going to double check that I answered all of the questions. So that is the How Well Do I Know My Books, and considering that I haven't read a lot of these books, I think I know my books pretty well. So if you guys like this video, if you have any other video suggestions, don't forget to leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and turn on that little bell icon. Click that so you can get notifications for any time that I upload a new video, and I will see you next time.